Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It All Starts With a Wish podcast. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Mark. The weather has been horrific where we live.
Mood.
The weather's been horrific.
Yeah, it has been. They're even talking about a B word.
Blizzard, for those of you who do not know what B word means. This B word could be multiple things.
Well, when it comes to weather, what else would a B word be?
I don't know,
but
today
it could also be that.
Today was like the worst possible combination of weather where it snows first.
You know, you always get mad about me about talking about the weather.
And then it rains and rains and rains, and then all of the snow gets slushy and dirty and heavy, and then you have to try to shovel it. And then tomorrow it's going to get really cold, so it's going to be an ice rink everywhere. Like, you're not going to be able to walk without slipping. Like, put on the ice skates, just skate around the whole... Like, everywhere you go. Because I'd rather have it just stay snow or rain. Just pick one. This switching stuff, it don't work.
And we have family members who are in a nice tropical place.
Yeah, jerks.
Including Walt Disney World.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a report from the field next week when they return. Or maybe that would be 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they'll be on a cruise all week. Lucky them. In the Bahamas. But they did spend some time in Disney too, so. One of my nieces rode Guardians for the first time with my brother. And according to my brother, he was very sick. And claimed that his heart may or may not have stopped on the ride. Oh. And I was like, you're being so dramatic. Stop it. Stop it with the drama.
He said that?
Yes, he did. He's like, my heart might have stopped on the ride.
When?
It's my brother, you know. He lives for the drama. Oh. He claims he doesn't, but he lives for the drama. But my niece loved it. She was like, that was the best ride ever. And I have to agree with her.
Yeah.
It is an awesome ride.
No, it really is.
It may not be like the craziest ride, but I think the all-around experience does make it like one of the strongest roller coaster experiences.
What are you talking about?
No, but I'm saying, like, if you've been on, like, King Dakar or whatever the heck that crazy ride, like, there's crazier roller coasters than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like height and speed and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
More extreme.
More extreme.
But I think the all-around experience on Guardians is one of the best that there is. I am biased, though. I must admit.
All right, well, you were giggling at your book over there.
I was. So, this is not a dad joke, per se. It's in my dad joke book. But I opened it up, and it's euphemisms for farting. And
I just can't.
Some of these I've heard before, but some of them are pretty good. You ready?
Okay.
So, these are all euphemisms for farting.
Great.
So, expelling gas from your
my gosh.
hindquarters. You ready? A trouser trumpet.
I think your reaction is funnier.
Duck call. That one I've heard before. Backdraft. Air biscuit.
I've heard that one before.
A booty cough. A butt salute. A frump. And a windy pop.
A windy pop?
A windy pop. The trouser trumpet, though. That was the first thing that I read on the page, and I couldn't help myself. Anyways.
Well.
Use one of those if you are around the family member and they fart.
Trouser trumpet.
Nice trouser trumpet.
No, not the sound effects. All right.
So there is much happening at Walt Disney World right now as we speak. I lost my train of thought.
What happened?
I lost my train of thought.
Not only that, you had a lisp.
I had a lisp?
Yeah, you did.
Did I when I was saying that? Oh. I didn't think I had a lisp.
You did.
Oh, whatever. Listen.
Go back and listen to it.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Maybe I did.
Okay.
There is much happening before I had a little mini stroke at Walt Disney World. We did get an official date that Jelly Rolls is closing.
Yes.
It's in April. We will get to see it before it leaves. So there are a few things on our list that I think we just have to do before they close, like Muppet Vision. We got to go to Jelly Rolls. We got to experience some things before.
Dinosaur still open?
Dinosaur will still be open. Dinosaur's open till the end of the year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So,
yay!
But that is another one that we'll want to try to get on. It's tough to be a bug. I don't care. I never want to do that again. So
no, and I think it's
that
kind of
traumatized me as a child.
Son,
yeah,
too. So we don't have to do that one.
That one, like
my sister said something about it, but
I can't wait for Zootopia to replace it.
That's going to be fun. I think.
I do too. So there is a lot happening and a lot to look forward to on our upcoming trip. As we look forward to that, and there are going to be more episodes. Be on the lookout in the next coming weeks for episodes on our packing plan.
We're getting down to the wire.
We are going to be making some purchases soon too for the trip. So honestly, we're getting a little close, and I'm getting nervous. Like I think we should do that sooner rather than later. Maybe this week we'll make those purchases. We'll talk about the things that we're purchasing specially for the trip. And also things that we'll order ahead to have hopefully delivered while we're down there. Yes. So an episode on that. An episode on packing. Did I say that already? We'll have episodes on our lightning lane selections and all of that and more.
Your dream of having a live in the moment thing can happen that next time.
We can try.
We could try.
But it'll probably cut out in the middle of it again, and I'll get angry, and then we'll try to do what we did last time, and I'll get even more angry because it loses audio and...
So maybe we won't. Never mind.
We'll try.
Well, anyways. Chat GPT.
I hate it.
I know you do.
I think artificial intelligence is the bane of society right now.
I think it can be helpful. Sometimes.
It is artificial intelligence. Did people not watch iRobot? Like,
That's
do you
my
not
line.
know what happens when you put too much power into things like computers and electronics and...
They're gonna take over the world.
And it literally is destroying people's ability to be creative or to, like, write or express themselves on their own. Like, I think it's just very bad for us. The next Hemingway or Samuel Clemens, a.k.a. Mark Twain, or Tolkien could be out there and is never going to be able to truly find their writing because they're going to be so reliant upon artificial intelligence.
Okay, well, I was just asking it some common questions that people might ask when planning a Disney vacation.
There's nothing
to write a romance novel.
There's nothing intelligent about artificial intelligence.
Okay, anyways, I used the internet and it gave us some commonly asked questions when booking or planning a Walt Disney World vacation for families.
Mm-hmm.
And after going through the list of questions, Mark's ears perked up with one of them. And that is, how many days do you spend at Walt Disney World?
Mm-hmm. What is the ideal?
What is the best number of days to go?
Yes.
Why did that perk your interest?
Well, because I think a lot of times people, when they're planning, underestimate the size of Walt Disney World, or they just don't know what there is to see and do, and there's a lot of pre-assumed assumptions.
Well, here's one pre-assumed thing, is they think 4 parks, 4 days is enough.
Right. Well, this is my point. That I don't know that people go into planning a Disney trip with the right state of mind. I think that they think that, we can get everything done in 4 days because there's 4 parks, or I can get everything done in 3 days because, I'm not really interested in this particular park or so that particular park.
People mostly base off of how many days are going to the park, I would think. So, like, they think, if we're only doing 2 parks, then we really only need 2 days.
Right. Or that line of thinking.
But that correlation doesn't... I think that it's very limited.
Well, yeah, and I think that that's a flawed way of thinking about it, too, and you're setting yourself up for failure in the long run if you think about it that way. And, of course, there are things like... It gets complicated, too, right? Because people may only be able to afford a certain thing or another thing, or... you have crazies like me who are like, no, you need to go for like 2 weeks. If I'm not there for at least 10 days, that's not enough.
Okay, well, let's start with the...
But that's also not realistic.
Let's start with the 4-day for a park thing. Because I do think that if there is a minimum of how many days, I think 4 is it. So if there is a minimum amount of days, I mean, I do think that 4 would be it.
Yeah, but I think
like a minimum of 4 days. If someone wants to see every park, then yeah, at least a park a day. Not saying you'll get everything done. I'm just saying you just want to hit every park. I think a minimum of 4 days is the least.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's optimal.
I'm not... Yes, I know.
And we're intending for the optimal amount of days.
Okay. You're not picking up what I'm putting down here.
Well, what are you putting down here, honey?
I'm saying that if there is a minimum... I'm just going to repeat myself again.
Well, but if there is a minimum, technically people could go for 2 days. Like, there is no real minimum.
I'm saying if there's an optimal minimum, 4 days would be it. That's the lowest I would go personally.
I see what you're saying now.
Do you understand? Personally, the smallest amount of time I would go to make it worth it would be 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make you feel better?
Sure. I think that a lot of people go into it with that. Me. Well, but I think a lot of people go into it with that thought process. 4 parks, 4 days. And I think we should talk about why that's a flawed perception.
Okay. We can. I'm just saying that is why they think that. And I can see how that would be like their minimum. I could see how they get that 4-to-4 ratio. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Why is that flawed?
Because it's not enough time. Why? Because I think each park deserves 2 days.
Really?
Well, at least like a day and a night.
And
I don't particularly like staying at one park all day the same day.
Well, I think that this brings up a very valid point here, is that a lot of people do not do a park hopper.
Yeah.
And they just go to one park per day, but I think that that's very limiting to people. And that if you do that, then you are obligated to stay at that park for the entire day, or if you go back for a break in the middle of the day, to go back there. And I don't think that is the best, most effective use of your time.
Yeah.
In some parks, it's cooler to go at night versus during the day.
We have a whole episode on that.
Literally and figuratively.
That's true.
Cooler. And there are some parks that you have to go to during the day because they're really not open at night, i.e. Animal Kingdom. So I think in the first place, by not getting the park hopper, you are already limiting yourself to what you can do and see if you're just saying, I'm just going to do 4 days and I'm going to do one park per day for the length of that
So
stay.
You're saying that if you're not doing a park hopper for whatever reason, then you would add on, if not double, the amount of time that you were staying.
Maybe. I don't know that you need a
or maybe
fully
like
double,
or like
but
add like 2 or 3 more
I would
days.
just always say that it's always worth the park hopper. That is the moral of the story.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you're adding 2 or 3 more days, that's probably the price of a park hopper anyway. So just
correct. If you're going to go to Disney and you're going to make that investment, it's not all that much more money to get just the standard park hopper on top of the base ticket.
It's like an extra $200. Not per person either.
No. But like a family of 4, it adds up to like $200-300.
Yeah.
Like in the grand scheme of things, that's not that big of an investment. That I think that flexibility and that liberty it gives you is so valuable, because not every park is a 2-day park. I don't think.
Yeah. No, and I came up with this. What's happening? My brain's not working. I ran into this with a big party for like bachelorette thing, when they wanted to go to one park, and I was like, well, that's not really an all-day park, especially they were going to Hollywood Studios, they were really only going for Star Wars. So now not only are you going to one park, you're going to one specific part of the park, which is smaller. So, like, the sizing goes down even more. And I was like, I just don't... If you're going to make it worth it going for a day, I would have done a park hopper. And then, like, bounce over to Epcot to make it worth being there, personally. Obviously, it's everybody's vacation is different, and if you want to spend it that way, that's fine. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. To me, if you're going to be spending the money, and I think a lot of people that listen could probably agree that if I'm going to spend the money, I at least want to get the most out of it.
Right.
I'm not just going to spend it and be like, well, whatever happens, happens.
Right.
Like, a lot of people planning want to make sure, okay, I'm spending X amount of money. How am I going to get everything that I want out of this? Like, how do I stretch it?
Correct.
And I think that's one of the ways is A, park hopper, and B, planning that maybe you're not going to be at one particular park more than like a half a day, most days.
Maybe, depending on what your family is like and what the makeup is. But I think a lot of people go in, every park has something to offer for everyone. Which is a reality. Like, across the spectrum, there may be certain parks that lean younger or that lean skew older, but every park has something in it for every age group.
Yeah.
And so to immediately assume, oh, I'm traveling with a 2-year-old, Hollywood Studios is off the list.
Yeah. No.
Like, that's not a good frame of mind, because there are some really awesome things in Hollywood Studios that your 2-year-old probably is going to love, and you're excluding them from that if you're saying, well, I'm going with a 2-year-old, I'm only going to go for 3 days because I only really want to go to Magic Kingdom one day, I want to go to Epcot, and I want to go to Animal Kingdom. But I don't think Hollywood Studios is worth it. Well, Hollywood Studios is not worth it for a full day, but it's hard to make the argument that a 2-year-old can't have a heck of a time in Hollywood Studios, especially if they love Toy Story, or they love Disney Junior, or they love shows, or Frozen or any number of things. Sure, they're not going to ride Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster.
No, but those parks do have other things to offer other than those thrill rides.
Right, and I think that you're doing your family a disservice if you're just assuming that, oh, no, that skews more adult, so we're just not going to go there.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't think that that is a sensible thing to do, because there's stuff there for the kid to do. On the flip side, maybe you're traveling with an older family, with teenagers, or children who are moving into adulthood, right? And you're going to say, I'm not going to go to Magic Kingdom because that's all kid rides. Well, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there's some really cool adult rides,
I beg to differ.
i.e. Tron, i.e. Space Mountain, i.e. Thunder Mountain, right? There's some cool rides and other experiences in the park, too, which are good for older families, too.
Carousel of Progress?
Okay, too far. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. But you're doing yourself a disservice. You could definitely do a morning or an evening at Magic Kingdom, even with an older family.
I think that obviously if you're talking to Mark and I, we're going to say go to every park. Regardless of, I think you should experience it. There is something for everybody. So you should go to every park. I'm curious, though. On the count of 3, we're both going to say the number of whatever our personal perfect number of days.
But see, this is the problem. Is this for me or is this for everybody?
No, this is for us.
Because what I'm going to tell people as what I think is the optimal amount for them is not the same as what I would do.
All right. For anybody. So think of just a number of days that could be put on to everybody as a
Joe Schmo and his family are going to Disney, and they ask us how many days they should go.
How many days do you think you should go?
Got it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
7.
Yeah. Wow! High five.
I think 7 is the sensible number.
7. That's the first number that came into my head.
I would couch that with the idea that 7 days.
But not every day is a park day.
You're going to go to the park 6 days out of the 7.
Yeah.
You're going to take a break day in the middle.
Yeah.
But you're going to go for 7 days. I think that the full week experience. It doesn't have to be Sunday to Sunday. It doesn't have to be
No.
a Monday to a Monday. Preferably it's not, right? Maybe you travel on some off days, like a Tuesday to a Tuesday or something like that. But I think that 7-day model is going to get you what you want. It's going to get you into all of the parks multiple times. Maybe even more than just 2 times if you're traveling with a certain type of family. If you're traveling with young kids, right? Maybe I'm spending the better part of 3 days in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I'm spending
Which
only
I think
a half day in Hollywood
do.
Studios.
Like, we're pretty much planning on that with our own trip, having a toddler. Like, we know a pretty, not maybe majority, but reaching majority is going to be Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And I think the order that we'd probably go is like Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal, Hollywood Studios. Not that we're not going to Hollywood Studios, it's just the least visited one on this trip, probably.
Yeah. I almost would flip Epcot and Animal Kingdom because I think Animal Kingdom is so cool with young.
Oh, that's true. And he loves animals.
Right.
So
but
I think
regardless.
But either way, Hollywood Studios is probably this time around not going to be it. But
right. But if you're traveling with an older family, Hollywood Studios may be the most visited of the trip.
Which is why it's just important. We always go back to just knowing
what
you want out of it.
Across the board, I think a 7-day trip, 6-day park hopper passes with a break day in the middle is the ideal situation.
I'm giggling
for people.
Because now I want to know. I think there's going to be a difference between me and you. For you, personally, let's put money and other things aside.
Yeah.
On the count of 3, we're both going to say the number of days that we would stay in Disney.
Ready? That we think is ideal.
For us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
I'm nervous. 3, 2, 1,
14.
9. What? I knew yours was gonna be... I was gonna say 10. So 9 or 10 would be my
which is
thing.
what we're doing this trip.
Which is our norm. I think that is pretty much. Yeah. I just think after the 10, I don't know. I guess if I could just stay there and there was just like no work, no nothing, I could just be like, this is just where I am. I guess I could stay longer, but 14?
14. I think that's perfect. A full 2 weeks in Walt Disney World. No traveling or anything like that. Like, travel out of it. Just 14 days in Disney. So I'm not saying I'm going to the park all 14 days.
But so you're not including 2 travel days on the end.
Days. Right, or more than that if you're driving or something.
Yeah, like but you're saying by the time you check in and you check it on the first day, on day 14,
it's check out. Yeah, full 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's...
I think that is ideal. I think that is
that is crazy.
I don't think so. I think that is an experience where you're not rushing, where you're enjoying yourself. You're not feeling the pressure of a shorter trip, right? Because we didn't mention this, right? But when you only go for 4 days, you can feel an immense amount of pressure to try to shove
it goes by so fast because you're so busy.
That,
yeah.
That... Again, this is still a vacation.
Sucking the fun out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I think the longer the better in the sense that, well, if you have 14 days, if, let's say, you really want to get on Ratatouille one day, but the line is 2 hours long, well, yeah, we'll try it again. Like, we don't feel the need.
We got nothing but time. We got time to kill.
We'll come back another day or another time, and we'll try again. Like, you have that liberty when you're there for a long time. Whereas if you're only there for a short time, you may find yourself waiting for 2 hours because you you prioritize that ride as something you really wanted to do on this trip, and now you're waiting in a 2-hour line because you don't have another choice. You've backed yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
But I think 14 days I still just feel like at day 10, I'm
already getting, like, I want to go back
like for
home.
A 14-day trip, I think like a 10-day park hopper is sensible. And you have like basically 3 days in there
Like,
that are
kinda
break days
spread out.
staggered throughout the entire thing. Yeah. I just find myself when we go for 10 days, this sounds incredibly like greedy, I guess. But like when we go for 10 days, like I'm not at a point where I want it. I do. Like I don't want to leave
I'm
yet.
not satisfied.
Like I'm getting close to being satisfied at 10 days and ready to return home, but I'm not quite ready to go home yet, which indicates to me that I haven't been there long enough. And I think I've never gone for 14 days. But I think if I went for 14 days, by the 14th day, I'd be like, okay, I am ready to go home. And not literally crying like I usually do when we have to leave.
I know, but you're already so close at 10. Like, it's not like it's like 5 and you want 14. And we're not even close to 14. It's like we're almost there. It's like...
But again, I still want a little bit more.
I know.
Which is
I mean, I think that we
greedy
both
of me,
still
but...
want like more. Like, you don't want to... It's not that I want to leave when we're at the end of our trip. It's not like
but
I'm
you're like, I want to go home and see the dog, and I want to get back in my own bed.
I kind of want to be in a
I don't
routine,
feel that.
And you're like, no, I understand. I don't feel the same.
That's correct.
14. I mean, I knew it was going to be high, but I didn't think it was going to be 4. I thought we were going to be a little bit closer.
But again, I would not, if this is your first Disney trip, your second Disney trip.
We're not saying go for 14 days.
I am not advocating
or 10
for
days.
The normal person to go 14 days.
That is a personal number.
I am crazy. But I think 7 is the sweet spot. That if you are a occasional visitor to Walt Disney World, or it's a first time trip, or you only go every few years, I think 7 is that sweet spot where you're giving yourself multiple days to go to multiple parks, however you choose to do that, based upon your family unit, whoever you're traveling with, what the age groups are.
I'd even say 6, but that 7 gives you that like rest day,
right?
And that's,
I think you need the 6 days in the parks.
Yeah.
And I think going for 7 days gets you that rest day in the middle.
Yeah.
But I think you need to buy a 6-day park.
And that's with going to the parks on both of your travel days.
Right. I don't think that 5-day park hoppers.
Yeah.
With like the 6th day being a rest, I don't think that that's enough.
No.
I think you're going to find yourself not getting on everything that you want to get on and feeling pressure. I feel like when you're at 6 days, you have alleviated a lot of that pressure from yourself to, try to shove everything into a condensed period of time.
Yeah. I didn't think, honestly, from the beginning when you perked up on this question, I didn't think that there would be this much of a conversation and or argument. Well, not argument, but like how we're different on a lot of things. But we both agree that 7 is the sweet spot. If I had to just recommend, like not knowing anything, and someone was just like, "Hey, how many days do you think?"
Yeah, because like obviously, if you have a budget and you can't afford to go for 7 days,
then you make it work, right? Like then we can solidify a plan of like what exactly you want to hit and all that stuff. But if you're just asking me, like, "Hey, Rachel, as a Disney travel planner, like how many days do you think you should go to Disney?"
Right.
7 would be my answer.
And we hear people a lot being like, "Oh, 3 days is enough," even though they can afford more.
Like it's not.
Or 4 days is enough. It's really not. It's really not enough, and you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on yourself to get a lot done in a very condensed time.
Which is funny because there are people out there. There's been clients of mine who have only done 4-day things, and they're fine. They're happy with it. They enjoyed it. They did. I'm like, okay. I don't know. It's just maybe they're just, I don't know, weird.
Yeah, well, everybody's going to be different.
No, I know, but it's just like there's some people who don't feel that pressure, and then other people who don't think that they're gonna feel that pressure until they get there, and then it's constantly like I remember
we've gone for 5 days before too.
No, I know, but like I just imagine like when your brother and our brother-in-law would be at like the front of the head, like, all right, we gotta go here, we gotta go there, it gets like very like, whoa, everyone needs to calm down. I know we like to plan, I know we like to trailblaze our way like through the park, but now like you're saying, for the longer you go, you don't necessarily feel that, like, we have to be doing something all the time. Because honestly, I think it might be, I don't know if it's like the vloggers or like, I don't know. I just feel like there's like an upswing in like the downtime of like either being at the resorts or like Disney Springs or like the not park moments that are like people's like favorite moments that you remember the most. And I do really agree with that. I think there are a lot of park moments that I remember, but most of them that I can think of are those down days. Where, like, you really didn't have anywhere to go and you can actually just sit there and just relax. Because a lot of people would say, I'll never go to Disney because that's not my type of vacation. Like, I'll need a vacation from my vacation.
Right. Well, that's like that because that's the vacation that you've made it out to be.
Yeah.
It does not have to be that way.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
It can be a very relaxed vacation, but in order for that to happen, you have to give yourself the time to have a relaxed vacation.
7 it is. 7's a lucky number anyway.
Sure.
7.
So,
to answer the question.
Rachel was skeptical that we could make a whole episode on this one question.
I thought we would have to do multiple questions in one.
Look at us now.
Look at me now. Oh. Look at me now. Oh.
This is why people like need a video of this, seeing me doing what I'm doing right now, and nobody will know what the dance was.
You should have been in the Super Bowl show, the halftime show.
No.
You would have been great.
Oh, yeah. I would have been the laughing stock of
not like us.
America.
They're not like us.
So, if you are ready to book that next Disney vacation, though, that is 7 days long, 6-day park hopper with 1 day for relaxation, you should definitely reach out to Rachel to plan that trip. Armello at MickeyTravels.com. As always, follow us on our social media accounts for all the latest and greatest updates. There are going to be a lot of updates, and there's going to be a lot of content coming your way on this upcoming vacation. Woo! So we're very excited about that. Cannot wait. And more episodes on planning. The next week's episode will most likely be on all of the stuff that we're going to purchase in advance to make our trip more enjoyable for everyone.
Hopefully it all works out. Mark's not like, that's a waste of money.
That will probably inevitably happen with things. No, I know.
But I hope I have a good comeback like last time. And I'm like, oh, it was actually one of the best purchases I made.
It was one of the best purchases I made.
You only did that because it happened.
It did happen.
True.
Yeah, you only did that because it happened. It's true.
I was right.
Yeah, whatever.
He was wrong.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see if it happens again.
Anyways, we want to thank you all for listening and supporting us as you continue to do. Share our podcast out with the world and with anybody who you think is interested in going on a Disney vacation. And of course, if they are interested in a Disney vacation, did I already mention Armello at MickeyTravels.com? Well, if I didn't, Armello at MickeyTravels.com. Anywho's, everyone, remember, it all starts with a wish. We will see you real soon.
Bye.